Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad to hear this morning. I know everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving, but first, let's take a look at our weather. Brought to us by Drew Pollard's company, Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, taking care of our everyday comfort needs. Should be pretty comfortable today. Some rain coming, and as soon as it gets out of here, we really need the rain. Our soil is just really dry, so I'm looking forward to having some rain. High today, 76, low 56. Water temperature at the end of the pier is right at 70 degrees. Take a look at our river readings brought to us by Panama City Coca-Cola. The Apalachicola Bluntstown is a 2.3. Pretty steady right there. If you're going on the Thanksgiving weekend to be on the river, it'll be at around 2.3 to 2.5. The Choctawhatchee Carabelle is pretty close at a 2.6. So both rivers are looking pretty close and all. And according to what this rain does on Choctawhatchee, it may go up a little bit, but it's going to be some good times on the river. Take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. We talked about neap tides. We are now entering neap tides the next 3 to 4 days. Saturday's going to pick up a little bit with strong tides, but not much tidal flow today or tomorrow or the Thanksgiving Day either. So all through there. Winds becoming south-southwest at about 12 miles an hour. Let's take a break. Come back with our special guest. Okay, welcome back. A familiar face here on our show. We've always have Steve Shea coming on a regular basis. We're always glad to have you.
Good to see you, Winston.
Great seeing you. And I know you've had quite a successful trip out in the Midwest.
Sure did. Went to Missouri again.
And we're going to talk about that. But first, this time of year, we're all talking about doing something good for our fellow man. And a lot of y'all are so good about it. We have this Hunters for the Hungry. Steve sort of got this going a little while back. So tell us about sharing the harvest.
Yeah, Florida Hunters for the Hungry is a nonprofit NGO that functions all across the country, but we have an NGO here set up in Florida, and we process meat for people in need across the state of Florida. We have locations in Panama City, Orlando area, Tampa, Pensacola, Jacksonville, and I'm president of Florida Hunters for the Hungry and oversee operations here in Panama City.
And it's cool, the most important thing is we're sharing with a fellow man that needs it, but then also you have a chance to be rewarded. You can win a gun if you get a ticket every time you turn one in. So tell us about that.
Well, the biggest reward is from our Savior, Jesus Christ. He's the one that led me to help people through this.
That's a great story you have about that, yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's great. I mean, we fundraise. The St. Joe Foundation is one of our big donors. And so hunters, all they have to do is harvest a deer or hog, drop it off at the Deer Shack. Cody at the Deer Shack is our participant here in Panama City. You donate your game, we process it. The fundraising that we do processes the meat. It all goes to Christian food banks here in Bay County. And you have an opportunity, and C&G Sporting Goods, they're such good donors for us as well. Yeah. They donated a Savage Axis 2 Creedmoor 6.5 with a composite camo stock, a nice Lupo scope. Nice gun. So every time you donate a deer or hog, you get one chance goes in to win this firearm.
Wow. That's going to be nice now. I mean, it really is. And it's going to be drawn to be March the 1st.
Yep.
And here's Steve's phone number if you have any questions, 850-227-8455. But we started doing this a couple years ago. We certainly support it. And I know a lot of y'all have been good about doing it. I know last year you had a lot of deer brought in.
Oh yeah, and the big thing is hogs. A lot of people have hog problems on their leases, and they don't know what to do with them sometimes. There's so many to harvest. Deseret donates a bunch to us as well.
Okay.
So bring all your hogs to Cody. They process it, make sausage, and it's interesting at the Christian food banks. When I talk to staff there, they said people never get fresh produce. They don't get meat. They just get canned goods, non-perishable items. And so having an opportunity to have fresh meat, they really appreciate it a lot.
And that's such a good point. So many of us have been so good, all the churches and the folks and the good organizations about giving stuff, but it's in cans and all that last a while, but we never give anything fresh because it may spoil. So here it is, that sort of adds icing to the cake on the giving part.
Yeah, it sure is.
So that's good. So we certainly want to support that. And we'll talk more about it too. I'll keep this poster in my computer and keep showing it to you. Okay, now, so you got to go out in the Midwest. Tell us about, who all went with you and tell us.
Yeah, I've had a lease up in northern Missouri, right on the Iowa border for, this was the 19th year, been hunting up there. And so I've been managing it collectively with the friends of mine that hunt it. There's a couple guys from Gulf County hunted, a friend of mine that owns Osceola Outfitters down South Florida, he's on it. So there's 6 of us collectively on this lease. And we've done a great job. I mean, I think our top 8 bucks have an average score in the mid 180s. I'll talk to you about a 200-inch deer I shot out there. We've killed some 190s, 180s, 170s. But I've killed in those 19 years, I've killed 10 bucks over 150.
Wow.
I won't shoot one now unless it's over 150. So I kind of identify the bucks in my camera survey. Okay, these are the ones I'll shoot. You always have some show up that you didn't know were there as well. So.
Isn't that amazing? You have your cameras and all of a sudden a new buck shows up. How do you explain that?
It's crazy. Well, the thing is you've set a camera survey up, and we have 2,000 acres up there. So I had 15 cameras out, and so you're picking up all the bucks that are using that area. Well, when the rut kicks in and those bucks expand their range, you're pulling in bucks. If there's a hot doe from, it could be a mile, 2 miles away. And so you just don't know they're there. And the one I killed this year, we never had photos of him. He showed up. I knew he was a shooter right away.
So he just came in.
Yeah, I was just.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. That's one reason you always stay optimistic. You may never see anything, and just go up there, and all of a sudden a big buck's gonna show up.
Yeah,
we've seen that before and all. So do all 6 of y'all go together, or go different times, or how do y'all do it?
We usually overlap. I primarily just archery hunt now. I use a crossbow since I damaged my shoulder in a helicopter crash, but I like hunting the archery season better. I find those big bucks, they're not ranging as far, so they're in their search mode. Once they're in the chase mode, it's harder to kill them, and you have to make a split decision. Where I like to hunt them when they're looking and they're traveling enough where you're going to see them, but they're not chasing yet, and they're not locked down yet with a doe.
Okay. So what's your limit on distance? What do you feel like you can feel safe at? What do you try to do?
I like to shoot them close. I mean, with a crossbow, you can kill them, 50 yards. But even I don't hunt any differently with a crossbow than I did with a bow. Okay. I won't shoot one. I've killed them 40 yards, but I like them. Most of them I shoot 15, 20 yards. I mean,
cool.
So I like them in close.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. Right back with Steve. Welcome back. Steve is sending me some pictures, and we're sort of copying them, getting ready. But tell us about one of the things. Y'all, the whole crew. I mean, you got a bunch of pictures here. Yeah. I mean, a bunch of them. Yeah. So we're going to go. But tell us about your buck. What happened on it?
Well, the buck this year, there was a few bucks that I considered shooters that I would shoot on the lease. And one of the guys that was hunting with me, Hoppy Kemper, said, I see where these bucks are crossing, from this big hog farm that's next to the property we hunt. So we moved a stand. It was interesting. This happened to me a couple different times. We moved a stand in there at around 11:30, and I got in that stand at 3:30, and I killed that buck at 4 o'clock.
Wow, this is it here?
Yeah, this is deer I killed.
Wow.
This is a good deer. He just shy 160. I mean, good, nice 11 point. He had a kicker coming off the G2 on one side.
Wow, but that is a huge buck. I know you were happy.
He was 275 pounds.
275 pounds?
Yeah.
All right, what about this now?
Yeah, now this is an interesting story. Back in 2016, this was a big buck. I called him Pitchfork because he's got a big pitchfork on his right side. If you forward one more picture, you can kind of see how he got his name. If you scroll in on that.
Oh my goodness.
This deer, I estimate him at around 210. And when we hunted him that year, I actually saw him 3 times. And on the 3rd time I saw him, I shot him. This is when I was still hunting with my bow. And we couldn't find him. And I was just heartbroken. But I thought maybe he still survived. So I actually went up and hunted him again in December. And sure enough, I saw the deer. I jumped him up. But I could tell he wasn't doing that too well. And the landowner's grandson ended up finding the deer a couple months later. And he wouldn't give me the antler. He knew I killed it and shot it.
He wouldn't give me the antler?
Would not give me. This is a deer of a lifetime. I'll probably never see a deer this big.
Oh.
Well, I pestered him for 7 years, and finally I had to pay him $1,000 to give me that dang antler.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So even though I killed that big buck this year, the biggest joy to me is actually getting that deer back. And so I have him at the taxidermist now. He's going to mount him for me.
Okay.
But he's a stud, that deer, and he ended up scoring. I scored him at 216. So,
Wow.
So that's the biggest deer I ever shot.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was glad.
That's an interesting story.
Yeah.
But at least you did get it back, but it shouldn't have to cost you. I mean,
I know.
But doggone it.
Yeah.
And there's one more picture of it here. Was that him too?
Yeah, that's him. We had several trail pictures. This is, we have certain bucks that are homebody bucks. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of pictures of this deer during daylight, and usually I can tell which ones we're having a good chance to kill them. I mean, because they're too diurnal. They're working during the day, and I said, we're going to kill this deer, or at least get a chance at them. Other ones are nocturnal, and it's strange. Winston, some bucks, their summer range will be on our lease, but then they're gone. During hunting season, they disappear because their range, they have another range, outside of where our lease is. And then we'll pick them back up after the hunting season again. We see that sometimes.
That may explain why they show up on the camera all of a sudden. They're leaving different ranges. People, you don't realize that.
Yeah, they move quite a bit sometimes.
Here's some more deer I know over the years. Here's this picture here now.
Yeah, and this is another good buck we killed on the lease. That's my buddy Hoppy Kemper. This deer scored in the mid-190s. I think it was 194.
Wow.
Nice buck. This is another deer I killed up there gun hunting. This deer scored a 174. Nice deer. This is a really cool buck. We call this the oxbow buck. It had a third beam coming off the left side. It's a 160 class, big, heavy buck I killed with my crossbow up there. He's a nice deer.
Okay.
Nice deer.
And then, let's see.
That's another one, 160 class buck, 11 point.
These are all different deer.
All different deer, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a really nice, this is Mitch Burke, he's the property appraiser in Gulf County. This deer scored, I think, 196, just a big, heavy, typical. Had some junk points on it too, but that's a monster.
That is. Mitch Burke.
Mitch Burke, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another 170 class deer that Hoppy killed up there. We had an early snow up there in the gun season. Nice buck.
Where do how do y'all stay warm?
That's another night. That's a mid 160s, split G2 buck that Hoppy's son Sage, he killed with his bow.
I like his camo face.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And this is just, we'll show you. This was a couple of years ago, back in 2021. This is the first time we killed 5 bucks over. We have 6 members, but we killed 5 bucks over 150 that one year. Some
cool.
Nice bucks. That's me up in the top right hand corner there.
That's cool. That's a cool season. Yeah. Do y'all sort of limit yourself? I mean, or how do y'all do it?
Yeah. I mean, we can kill one during the archery season and 1 buck during the gun season. But usually, if you kill 1 good deer, you don't. Like I usually never gun hunt anymore.
Yeah.
But I put a 150 minimum on myself. And then if I kill one during archery, I don't gun hunt. I save them for the other guys.
So October, November is the time?
Well, up there, the best time is last week of October, first 2 weeks of November.
Okay.
Those 3 weeks are the best. I like the last week of October, first week of November. Those are my 2 favorite weeks up there.
Y'all stay like a little cabin or something?
Yeah, we have a little farmhouse,
Yeah.
that the landowner owns that we stay in. So we have that year round. So I go up and turkey hunt. I killed 30-pound gobblers up there. It was big turkeys up there. Yeah.
Well, I know that's fun having a lease like that. You got a certain time of the year. Mm-hmm. How long does it take you to get up there?
It's about a 16-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually, if I'm going up to hunt, I'll leave at like 2:30 in the morning. Get up there that evening.
Oh, you drive all in one day?
I drive all the way through.
No way.
So then I can start hunting the next morning. Yeah.
That's cool.
But usually I'll put out sub-cell cameras, and then I'll put a bunch of Brownings out too, and I'll pull all those cameras the first day I'm up there and kind of doing a buck assessment, and then decide, okay, where am I going to hunt? What am I going to hunt? Yeah.
You have that game plan.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all talking about that game plan about where you want to do it, what time you want to do it. And that's important. A wildlife biologist, you know how important that is.
Yeah, and big thing on a property like that is the wind is critical. There's certain stands that you want to get to that stand and hunt it, but the wind's not right. I mean, you may be there for, say, 10 days bow hunting, and you may get one shot sitting in that stand. Because if you sit in it with the wrong wind, you just mess that whole area up. And if that buck you're hunting, I mean, you basically have basically.
You hit on something.
Yeah.
Their nose is so sensitive.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
You know, and we talk about different layers of smell they have. It's incredible. And that goes in not just in Midwest, but right out here in the Panhandle in South Alabama. It's the same situation. That wind, and we just a lot of times take it for granted or in a rush to get there, and then don't think about that wind. But it's critical.
And what's interesting when those bucks start chasing is the bucks, they're not as sensitive about the wind. It's the doe he's chasing is. Lots of times, I sent you some videos, too bad we can't pull them up, but a buck chasing a doe in, and she'll wind me, she gets nervous, but all he does is smell her. He's not even paying attention to the wind anymore because he's hot on that doe.
And the doe smells it.
The doe's the one that busts you. Yeah.
That's interesting. We're going to take our final break and come back with Steve. Okay, welcome back. Here with Steve Shea Wildlife, and we're always glad to have him. He shares so much good information. Before we get back to Steve, let's take a look at our fishing game times brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. Our times today, 5:45 to 7:45 this morning, and 6:09 to 8:09 tonight. You got Thanksgiving coming up real quick, so what's your plans for Thanksgiving?
My mom and dad are down from Georgia, so they're going to be staying with my brother, so we're having a big family get-together Thursday.
Yeah. You're not going to eat much turkey, are you?
I'm going to eat too much, but my dad, he's been chomping at the bit to go hunting, so I'm going to be taking him out to the lease to hunt. So.
Awesome.
He's 87 years old, still knocking them down.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Okay, this is interesting now. We'll get back with Steve on this survey, and this is very interesting for all the deer hunters. Tell us about what's going on with these big deer.
Yeah, you know, we've been talking about hunting up in Missouri. Well, let's talk about Florida. I do camera surveys all across the state of Florida, from South Florida, Central Florida, North Florida. An interesting thing that I've seen all across the state this year is the quality of mature bucks is less this year. I mean, I don't care what area that I surveyed, the size of deer antlers, the mass of adult buck antlers are down this year. And it happened every single area that I did a survey on. And I'm talking about like a dozen of them across the state. The only two that didn't go down was high fence areas that they control the environmental factors and supplemental feed. We didn't see a reduction there. But all the free ranging herds across the state this year, the adult buck antler sizes were small. And I think I know why. The FWC had done research years ago. The deer biologist Roger Vanderhoof looked at how rainfall affects antler quality of deer in Florida, and there was a significant impact. And as we all know, we have had drought rainfall deficiencies across most of the state this year. Just like you see in Texas on bad rainfall years, well, the same thing happens in Florida, but not as pronounced. But that's the only thing that I can explain, that across the board, across the whole state, I was seeing smaller antler mass on mature bucks.
Wow.
So it's kind of disappointing. And you know, it was interesting as I started to do these surveys from South Florida and working my way up, where I was seeing the same trend, every single area. You just never see that. It's the first time I've ever seen that. But this is the first time we've had rainfall deficiencies across the whole state, really, too.
That is interesting. You know, I thought about feeding them. I know that's corn and all, but about feeding them, you think they're getting bigger from that, but it's not, obviously.
No, and see, on a controlled environment like a high fence area, the protein that can overcome those rainfall deficiencies. But it just shows you, even if you're supplementally feeding on free-ranging deer, the majority of what that deer gets is from the natural foods in the environment, and so that's why the rainfall made that impact.
Now, do you think, we predicted to have a pretty wet winter, and maybe going into spring, you think you'll see a little increase maybe next year? Well, what's your thinking as a scientist?
The big thing is during the growing season. So like say from March through August, that's when you really need the rainfall. Now, late winter, so you know the spring forage is really good, nutritious. I mean, it'll help. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But it's usually the critical time for you want them coming out of the winter in good shape. I mean, so they're ahead of the game. But then you need that good nutritious forage during the antler growth season and during the fawn production and weaning season.
Yeah. That's interesting research done by the FWC guys back You think they're doing any kind of follow-up studies lately, or
not on the rainfall, but they're doing a lot of different studies on movement ecology, camera survey development, non-baited sites.
Okay.
Doing a lot of work with panthers impacts with but not on the rainfall. Not on the rainfall.
Okay, that's interesting. That's it.
Right now, the FWC has their hands full with CWD.
Whoa, they really do.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about that? What?
Well, I know that the agency has, they have a good plan to try to get as many samples as they can in the CWZ zone and outside that zone so they can further assess how widespread or how finite the transmission rates are up in that area.
Yeah, that's going to be something we just got to stay on top of. That's important.
Hopefully the prevalence rate will stay low. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah. And we got to do our part as hunters and all to help. We got to just help each other out and talk and do exactly what they ask us to do.
Yeah. So we'll learn a lot after this hunting season. We'll know a lot next spring.
Okay, let's real quick go over before we close now. The poster right here about attention hunters. Share the harvest, okay, about donating a deer. So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, make sure any deer that you want to donate, and hogs, especially hogs, bring them to the Deer Shack. Cody Barons, owner of the Deer Shack, will process those free of charge, and all that meat will go to 2 different Christian food banks. It goes to First Methodist Church and Florida Catholic Charities here in Panama City, and they distribute all that meat to those in need in Bay County.
Okay, again, there's Steve's phone number. Several people have contacted me about wanting to get in touch with you. Can they use this number here to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Okay. I know last week I had someone ask about it, so there's a number there. We've got about a minute left, so what's your plans for the rest of this year? Are you going to hunt? We'll take your dad hunting.
Yeah, taking my dad hunting. I still have some camera survey work I'm doing. Up in Northwest Florida, we do them a lot later in the year because the fawns are born so late, and you don't get a good estimate of recruitment if you do it too early in the fall. So I save some till later in the year there. So I'm still working. Then my gator work will start first of the year. So.
Okay, we're going to stay up with that too. If you had to give one quick hunting tip to our hunters, what would you tell them one quick hunting tip from all your experience? Is
make sure you stay safe and use safety lines and a hunter safety vest if you're going up in a tree. I almost had a real bad accident one time, and I've never not used one since then. So just be safe is the biggest thing. That's
a good point. We haven't talked about that enough lately, but do be safe and all. Tomorrow's show now, we're going to have a great show. A lot of y'all send me what you're thankful for. I'll share that on air and talk about that. I've got some great pictures, so we'll be back tomorrow. Steve, thank you so much.
God bless. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. All right, folks, y'all do something good today for your fellow man. Enjoy the great outdoors. Let's take care of it. God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.